Should you draft Alvin Kamara in fantasy football this year? Well, let's talk about it. Alvin Kamara reminds me a lot of Raising Cane's, not just because he's based exclusively in New Orleans, but also because if you take away the sauce, all you're left with are some bland frozen chicken tenders. In Alvin Kamara's case, the sauce is 72 average receptions per year. Dear God, how is this man allowed to exist? So for those of you who don't know, Kamara is a bit of an interesting guy in fantasy. People have been trying to fade this man for years, and he refuses to disappear, despite the fact that he's objectively kind of a mid-running back. Kamara has never broken 1,000 yards in a single season and averages roughly 850 rushing yards per year. However, he routinely remains a fantasy-relevant back, despite the 850 rushing yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns per year, because he catches 70 receptions for 500 yards per year, and that balloons his total. Kamara is a PPR demon, where essentially, if you are in PPR, you should probably draft Alvin Kamara because he's going to be pretty good and probably had fringe running back 1 upside, while he's currently going as the running back 15 and the 44th overall player. However, if you're not in a PPR league, like when you start getting to half PPR, it gets a little dicey. If you're not in any kind of point per reception league, do not draft Alvin Kamara. And it's really that simple. Kamara relies on the pass catching. He's like Breece Hall, except even worse. And I'm not joking. Like, he is Breece Hall, but without the pass catching, you are literally looking at a sub 1K rusher who doesn't break 10 touchdowns. And the upside's just not there. I mean, besides that, the Saints are probably going to be even worse this year than they were last year, which means that, again, they brought in Tyler Shuck as their new quarterback, which means that he's probably going to be checking it down to Kamara more because he's a rookie quarterback who doesn't run. We could see a little bit of regression. One thing to point out is we could see a little bit of regression for Kamara in the rushing department because last year he really benefited from running on the outside, but the addition of Kellen Moore and a new offensive coordinator could cause Kamara to have to start running between the tackles again, which he's shown a little bit of kind of being mid at, to put it politely. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Kamara is a borderline RB1 in PPR. He's probably a fringe middling RB2 in half PPR, and he's an RB3 at best in non-PPR. So just look at your league format and use that to decide whether or not you want to draft Alvin Kamara. I'm giving him a grade of A- in PPR, B- in half PPR, and D+ in regular.